All right, cool. Let's see. I'm gonna put this on the Instagram real quick, guys, and then we can get started. Let's get this link. All right, let's get this online. And we should be good to go. Hey guys, so if you guys are new here, generally at the beginning of the week, what I do is I mark up the charts with all of the K2SR zones, so that you guys can see exactly where the rejection points are. So I'm going to go down the whole watch list. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to put them in the YouTube chat, and then I will get through all your guys' questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to go down the watch list, and I'll probably just I'll see if there's any other questions. So I'm just putting this on the Instagram real quick so we get other people on here. Otherwise, we'll get started in a few minutes. All right, cool. Looks like we're good. Let me see if you got everything ready. All right, cool. So Toon, hey Toon, how's it going, bro? So Toon said, what up? Can you teach me how to set an alert on TradingView at a certain pip? No rush. So Toon, basically when you want to set up alerts, all you got to do is, so you can set it depending on, whatever parameters you want. So say if you wanted to be alerted when price reaches like a certain price point, you just right click right there. You'll go to add alert, and then you can put, whenever price crosses it, or there's like so many other options here. So depending on what you're trying to do, just like I mentioned here, if you want to be alerted if price was to say swing upwards and then price like crosses a certain area, you can just right click at that specific price, hit add alert, and you can change the value to, whatever specific price you're looking for. And then once you have that, you can set the settings there like odd CAD, crossing, specific price or whatever. Or it just really depends on what you're looking for. So depending if you want it to cross at that point, or if you want it to cross down here, you can also set it down there as well. It just really depends on which parameters are you looking for, because you can do crossing, you can do greater than, less than. There's like a ton of different options. I'm not sure exactly which parameters you want. I'm assuming it's price. So if you want price to be at a specific price point, that's how you'd set it up. Otherwise, I know your question says at a certain pip. So if you want it to go to a certain pip, you can also do that too. There'll just be different options here. So, crossing specific price point, or you can say like greater than X amount of price, or pips. There's a ton of different options here. So depending on which one you're looking for, I'm assuming it's crossing a certain price. So if you want to do that, you can put a specific price there. So you can just like line it up, and you can see here on the side, it's like 0.94353 if you want to do something like that. It just really depends on, what you're specifically trying to get alerted for. But there's a ton of different ways to do it. That's just one way. If you want it to alert you when it crosses like an SR, you can do it from there as well. There's just a ton of different ways to do it. So depending on what you're looking for specifically, you can set those specific parameters. All right, so let's see if there's anything else here. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna turn on my AC. It's hot in my office right now. Just close this window. Let's turn the AC real quick. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I had to turn on my AC real quick. All right, perfect. So Tune got that. All right, guys. So I think that's it for our current questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down each pair and I'm going to draw the K2SR zones for you guys so that you guys can see exactly where price, generally rejects from. If there's any other specific questions you guys have, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll try to get to as many questions as possible. But it doesn't look like the market's too busy today. It looks like the market's actually a little slow. Since it's Monday, plus I think there's something going on right now, with U.S. politics. So, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's still a holiday, so the market's probably not going to go into full swing until tomorrow. So for now, we'll just mark up the zone so that you guys have an edge in the market, when you're looking for what positions you guys are taking. And then if we see any entries, it's about 4:44 right now. So the next candle closes in about an hour and 15 minutes. If I see anything at 6 p.m., then I'll call some trades. And if you guys aren't in the premium, you guys can, copy the trades directly off my calls. So let's get started. So we're gonna start off with odd cat over here. I'm gonna start off with the naked chart. There you go. This is what a normal chart looks like with nothing on the chart. And then what I do first is I pull up the K2 SR version 2 indicator right here. And then you can see that we have all the zones on the chart now. So what I do next is I pull up the rectangle tool and then I go ahead and draw my zones on the chart. And if the zones overlap like they do right here, this is just common courtesy that we normally do. If the zones are crossing over like they are right here, what we do is we just create a big zone instead of creating two small zones, because there's really no point in creating a bunch of small zones here and having to worry about this whole area when you can just create one big zone. So like right here, I created one big zone. Again, down here, I'm probably going to create another big zone because it doesn't look like there's much space. So once I'm done drawing these zones right here, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean by that. So let me draw these zones right here. And then we got another zone right here. And we got a couple down here. And then once I take off this K2SR, you guys will see what I mean by, the zones being a little too messy if they're too close, and how it's better to just create one big zone. So right here, we have a bunch of zones up here. Let me zoom out. We have a bunch of zones up here, but if I take off the K2SRs, you can see that we have a nice zone marked up right here. Basically, whenever price reaches this area, price generally rejects right off it, right? There's an outlier right here, but normally when price reaches this area, it rejects right off it. So if you guys have these zones marked up on your chart, you know exactly where not to trade and where to trade, because obviously if you're entering a buy, you're probably going to want to exit your trade once you get to near the zone, because what happens every time prices reaches that zone is it rejects right off it. Sometimes we'll have a small outlier like right here where they'll fake you out, they'll push it up, and then they'll drop right back down. Similar right here, price comes up, fakes you out, comes right back down. So the thing is, if you're entering a buy, you're going to want to maybe exit your position with your stop loss and profit once you reach this upper zone. Similar to the lower zones down here, you can see that price respects these zones pretty nicely. So obviously right here, price goes from this zone, comes up, rejects, comes down, rejects, comes up, and it pretty much just rejects off, these K2SR zones. So if you guys have these zones on the chart, you guys will know exactly when and where not to trade. So like right here, price is at this lower zone, right? So obviously I wouldn't want to take a sell right here, because what might happen is price might reject off it and swing right back up. However, that's not always the case. In some situations, if price closes below the zone, then price can go from this zone to this zone down here. So if price was to close below here, then I would take probably take a sell position and then ride that down. However, if price rejects off this point and closes somewhere up here, then I would probably take a buy, because I could ride that buy up to this next zone over here for, a quick profit, because that's about 20 pips right there. So if price moves up, you can move your stop loss and profit somewhere around here. And then if it rejects right off it, then you would get stopped out in profit. So this is what I mean by, giving you guys the edge here, because if you guys know exactly where price is likely to reject from, you guys can base your trades off those specific, critical points. So looking at odd CAD right here, the lower zone is going to be at 0.9438. I'm going to round that up. And this upper zone right here is going to be at 0.9487. I'm going to round that up as well. So if price was to break below this price point that I just mentioned, you know, odds are price is probably going to continue downwards. Like you can see right here, price broke below the zone, right? What did it do after that? It came down and tested this zone right here before rejecting back up, before coming back down, and literally just bouncing from zone to zone. So right here, price is already at that same zone where, you know, price got stuck at in the past. So what could happen here is price can either reject off it or it can break below. And, you know, there's different scenarios. Once price reaches this point, price can either reject off it or it can break below it and continue downwards. So if you tie in the other K2 indicator, so right now we have the rejection points. On top of this, we're going to tie in the K2 momentum indicator. So right here, the momentum's coming down, right? Basically, once price came up here, rejected off it, we got a sell signal. What happened was it came down, tested this zone, came right back up, retested this zone, and then it came straight back down. So currently we still have, like, the last momentum signal was a sell signal right here. So we still have a sell bias. So since we're still in a sell bias, we're still anticipating this to come down further, right? So this is what I mean right here. If price closed below the zone, then I anticipate it to continue downwards. So that's why we have a sell bias right there. And, you know, we're not going to make any trades until this closes below, because obviously, like I mentioned, I don't want to get caught in a sell and then price is still up here and it ends up rejecting. So once price closes below here, then we'll take a sell. However, if we get a buy signal like we did right here, you see this buy signal right here. You can see that once this buy signal closed and price closed above this zone right here, then look what happened. Price went up and shot up to this zone over here. So if we get a buy signal here, then obviously I would take a buy and ride that all the way up. So there's a bunch of different scenarios right now, but since price is still within the zone and it hasn't either, you know, closed above it or closed below it, then I'm not going to take this trade because we don't have an edge right now. Like, we know exactly where the rejection points are, but there's no edge to pretty much ride this in either direction. So until we get that edge, then I'm gonna hold off on taking, you know, any trades on this pair. But you guys get a gist of what I'm looking for, and you can see how easy it is to, you know, pretty much time the market where you can ride it from zone to zone. So like right here, we got a sell signal. It rode down to this zone. Right here, we got a buy signal. It rode up to this zone. Sell signal, rode down to this zone right here. So same situation, you know, if price breaks below it, then we continue that ride down. However, if we get a buy signal, then we could ride that ride up. So currently there's no entry, so we're going to hold off on that for right now. We're done with odd CAD. Let's move over to the next pair, odd CHF. All right, so right here, I'm going to do the same exact thing, delete everything off the chart. Here we got a naked chart, turn on the K2SR indicator, zoom out, and then draw our zones. All right, and I'm gonna zoom through these other pairs, guys. Unless you guys want me to take some more extra time on a specific pair, feel free to let me know, and I'll like slow down for a specific pair. But you know, if no one wants any details on, you know, these specific pairs, there's no reason for me to stop on it, because I can always come back to it later if you guys have any more specific questions. But if there's no questions for these pairs specifically, then I'm just gonna keep moving along, and then we can always come back to them a little later, because we have, let's see, we're on odd CHF. We have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we have about 20 pairs to go through today, over 20 pairs, maybe 20 to 30 pairs. So I don't want to waste too much time on pairs that nobody really cares about, when we can just go back to them later, because we have a lot of pairs to cover. And, you know, I want to make sure that you guys get as much value out of this live session, you know, before we move on into the week. So let's move on with this right here. I have all these zones lined up. Once I have that, I'm going to hide the K2SR indicator, and then I'm going to zoom out just so you guys can see. And here you can see we have perfectly lined up zones. So you can see these zones that I lined up today, they're still perfect with the zones from May, like a couple months ago in May. How many months ago was that? That was about, what is it, 5 months ago? So you can see how strong these zones are. So June and May, the price was respecting the same zones. However, look at price currently now. The zones are still in the same area. So right here, you can see that the lower zone is going to be at 0.6519, round that up. or sorry, we'll just put it at 0.6520. So let's round it up. And then this upper zone right here is going to be at 0.6558. I'm gonna round that up as well. So if I turn on the K2 momentum indicator, right here, we have a sell bias. This is actually a good trade. I might call this right now, actually, for a late entry, because what I anticipate happening is price to continue downwards. So this is actually a really good entry right here. You know, like I mentioned, we have a sell bias because we have a sell momentum candle right here, and then price broke this zone. So what happens when price breaks the zone? It usually comes down and tests this zone down here, like it did in the past. So it's going to test the zone, and then it's probably either going to reject off it, or it's probably going to continue downwards. So I might just call this trade right now. Let me go and check the other AUD pairs. I'm just going to make sure that they're kind of lined up and correlating in the same direction. So it looks like the AUD is weak right now because the CHF is stronger. Let me see if it's weak across the board. So right here, odd CAD's coming down, odd JPY is coming down, odd NZD is coming down, odd USD is coming down. So the AUD pair is, I mean, yeah, the AUD currency is weak right now because all of the AUD pairs are all going in the downwards direction. So let me just go look at CHF pairs and make sure that these are gaining in strength so that they correlate with our analysis right here. So right here, it looks like your CHF is, yeah, it looks like it's coming down. It looks like it retraced up a little bit, but it's still coming down. GC, this looks like it's just going sideways. So we're just gonna disregard that. NZD CHF looks like it's coming down as well. USD CHF is also coming down. So this correlates to the same entry right here for this trade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this trade. So if you guys aren't in premium, you guys can copy the trade from here. However, I'm going to post the exact parameters to the premium. All right, so this is going to be a, move this down here. Let's see, price is above it, so it's going to be a sell stop. CHF. I think they're going to release some like COVID data today, but I don't know if it's going to affect the market that heavily. So we'll take our chances with this one. TP2, TP1. All right, guys. So if you guys aren't in the premium, you guys can, I'm going to give it a few seconds here so you guys can copy it. No, let me see. Let me see if I shared these other ones in the free group already too. So G I shared, GN I shared, yeah. So I shared everything else. I'm not going to share this in the public group yet because, you know, obviously the premium members are going to have priority since they're paying for this, you know, this service. So if you guys are looking at this now, it's going to show, you know, the parameters right here. If not, we can, you can go ahead and rewind the live and you guys can copy the parameters right there. But here are the parameters for odd CHF. Looks like a great trade. All right, I'll give it a few seconds and then we're going to move on to the next pair. All right, cool. So let me go over here. I'm going to delete these scamming binary people. And I hate how we get those. All right, cool. So I've sent out that trade right there. You guys saw it. If you guys didn't get the parameters, just rewind the video and you can copy the trade from there. However, it's going to get posted in the free group, maybe like in an hour or 2 hours, depending on, you know, where price is at the specific time. Because obviously, you know, the premium members have to get the upper hand since they're paying for the premium service. So right here, we have this trade going. It's going to send the, set up the alerts right here. TP1, 10 pips. TP2, 20 pips. And then full TP 40. All right, guys, easy as that. So the reason I called that trade was that I identified it as a K2SR zone trading strategy. And the way I was able to identify that is that we saw price break the zone right here, which happened at, let me see. Yeah, actually, so this happened around 3 or 2. This is when the swap spread happened. That's why we didn't call it during us, like when it actually closed. But this is just a late entry. So price broke the zone right here. We have a sell momentum candle right here. Those are the 2 requirements for that strategy. And then this provides for an entry. So now we're anticipating price to come down and test the zone over here. So we have that active. I'm gonna mark this on my chart. All right, looks good. All right, cool. So we're moving on to the next one now. Let me see. Josh said, cool to see how you call trades. Would you call this risky since the sell signal is a few candles back? No, Josh, this is actually a perfect entry because for this specific strategy, we're waiting for price to break the zone. We're not basing it off the signal candle. So let me just put the requirements over here. K2SR zone trading strategy. So for one, you want to identify a break and close past K2SR level. The second one, you want to confirm the direction of momentum via K2 momentum. And then after that, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So this specific strategy, we don't base the entry off the momentum candle. What we do is we base it off the break and close past the K2SR level. So the first requirement is to identify a break and close past a K2SR level. So you can see right here, we had a bearish candle break past this K2SR level and it closed, right? So that would be requirement number 1. That's the main requirement. The second requirement is to confirm the direction of momentum. So it doesn't matter if the momentum candle was way over here or way over here. You know, that's just going to be the extra confirmation that we're trading in the proper direction. So right here, price broke this zone and then the momentum was coming down. So until we get a buy signal, we're going to have a bearish momentum bias because obviously we want price to continue downwards since the last signal was a sell signal. So you can see right here, we got this buy signal right here, right? But we didn't get the break until way over here. So if you were to enter this trade right here, it would still be, 2 days later, 2 days and 8 hours later. So even though this candle is way over here, it wouldn't matter because the momentum's still coming down from here. So the momentum actually started from up here and we're anticipating that to come down to test this zone over here until we get a buy signal. So we don't have a buy signal. So this is still going to confirm that we have that bias going downwards. So yeah, let's see. Sam's asking it's active. Yeah, it's active. So, I mean, technically it's active now. When I called it, it was above the entry, but now it's active. It looks like it's going to come down and hit TP1 soon. So it looks like a great trade. If you guys are thinking about entering this, go ahead and enter it. But it does look like it's going to come down and hit TP1 at the very least. Just remember to use the exit strategy if you guys are taking it just to be 100%, because, we'll never really know if it's going to continue that direction, especially if they're releasing COVID news right now. I think Trump's doctor is talking about, whatever Trump's results were, that they were negative and stuff. So that could affect the market, but, we don't really know until we know. So this is what we have active right now. We're anticipating this to come down and it looks good so far. All right, so let's go on to the next one, JPY. Same situation right here. This would, see if this closes in about an hour, this candle has about 57 minutes left. So if this closes below, this would technically qualify as an entry for that same strategy for the K2SR zone trading strategy. However, it's so close to the zone right here that we're probably not going to call it, because what could happen here is price can reject right off it, or it could continue down. And for me, I'm not going to take my chances with that. I want to make sure that it's 100% before I take that trade. And right here, it's only about 9 pips away from the next zone. So I wouldn't take this trade because the spread's about 2 pips. So you got to pay that spread both ways. You pay that spread going in, you got to pay that spread going out. So technically, you're only going to be able to lock in about a 6 pip max if you're going to be worried about, the zone right here. However, if price closes below this zone over here, then, I'm all for it, because we could ride this drop right here to this next zone for about 40, 50 pips. So that's the big difference between entering it somewhere over here versus entering it down here. You might be getting in a little late, but you have the extra confirmation and full confidence that, price is likely to continue downwards to hit your TP. So I haven't marked up these zones yet. Let me mark them up for you guys. Oh, there we go. So GA hit TP2 right here, guys. If you guys took the trade that I called earlier, yeah, GA is about to hit TP2. Looks like it's about to hit full TP, so it's looking great. Let me just give that update, guys. So I'll come back to AJ right there. Yeah, so GA hit TP2 for about 45 pips. That's looking great. Let's see, Master Wallet said our GN and GA is going to hit our TP3. Yeah, definitely. They look great. It's a great way to start the week, because we thought this week was going to be super slow, which, I mean, it is slow, but it's not horrible. We're still making some nice profit off these two trades today. GBP, AUD. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't full TP, it was TP2. Oh, got another alert. Looks like we hit another one. Oh shit, why did I do that? All right, I'm gonna send that to the group. Oh, there we go. Odd CHF hit TP1 already, Sam. Hope you got into that one. All right, so I'll go back to that same call I just made earlier. Look at that. Real nice. And you guys saw me call that live. It wasn't even filled yet. Like when I called that trade, it was still in the negative. But this goes to show, if you just learn the K2 strategies, you can be a profitable trader super easily. But yeah, I mean, that's that for that one. I'm gonna post this in the group as well. I guess I might as well post that in the public group, even though it's kind of late. But everyone else here got that on time, so it's looking good. Odd CHF. But yeah, you guys saw me call that live, so you guys saw that I spotted it right before that drop, which was perfect. And I hope all you guys made profit off that trade. So there we go. We're good with that. Let's move on to the next one. So we're back at AJ over here. Yeah, Toon said God's timing. Yeah, that's perfect, man. I wasn't even gonna call that trade. Honestly, I wasn't even gonna have this chart analysis with you guys, but I had free time finally. I've been busy. Sorry, guys. So, we hopped on this, and perfect timing for everyone. So, all right, I'm gonna go back to AJ over here. Let's zoom out of here. Naked chart. I'm gonna turn on the K2SRs, and then draw these zones over here. So I'll try to pick up more trades along the way as I see stuff. I try to take it easy this week because of the news and stuff, but who cares? We might as well go all out. So there's no reason for us to play on the defense right now. Let's see. All right, so we got that. All right, got that lined up. It's good right there. And then we got this last zone over here. All right, so looking at AJ right here, I'm going to hide this K2SR indicator, zoom out. Those perfect zones right there. So looks like price is bouncing off these zones right here. Price is currently rejected off this point. It's coming down to this zone. This is the same thing I just talked about earlier. So this is what I meant about this. So right here, price is exactly at this zone, right? So what can happen here is price can either reject off it, or it can continue downwards. So in order for me to enter this trade, I want to make sure that it closes below here so that I can ride that move downwards for about 40, 50 pips. Right now it's a little too risky to enter this trade, but it looks like it may continue to drop down since our odd CHF pair is continuing down as well. So this looks good right here. Oh, look at that drop. This thing's dropping down pretty heavy. So I'm going to give it some time. We have about 52 minutes left on this candle. So hopefully within then, we can probably hop into this trade like in about an hour. So I'll just keep this marked in case. And we'll move on to the next one. Here's odd NZD, or sorry, let me go back and give you guys a parameter. So that upper zone right here is going to be, or I'll give you this zone way up here. This upper zone is going to be 76.24. And then this lower zone down here is going to be 75.20. Let's move on to the next one. All right, we're on odd NZD now. Here we go with the naked chart. Turn on the K2SR version 2 right there. And then let's get these zones on the chart. All right. That right there. And it's a little bit of a messy pair because they usually move in the same direction. So that's why you kind of see these weird overlaps. But you're going to run into these with, certain pairs. So it's fine if that happens. It's just your job to decipher through like that little noise that bounces around. So you can see right here that this is a little messier compared to the other pairs we were looking at, but it still does the job. So we see this rejection off this point and it's coming down right here, right? Let's check out the momentum. Momentum's coming down. So if price was to close below this area right here, then I would take a sell and then write it down from here to the next zone for about 30, 40 pips. But not until price closes down here will I enter a trade. So I'm just gonna keep watching it until then. However, I'll give you guys the zone. So this upper zone right here is gonna be 1.0858. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.0815. So if price closed below this area, then you can take a sell and pretty much write that down to the next zone. So I'll probably call the signal if we have one later, but currently right now, it doesn't look like it's going to drop that far. So let's move on to the next one. Josh said, I'm in premium. Good job, Shawn. Are those alerts TP alerts automated? Yeah. So Josh, when I set up the, when I took this trade and I made this call for odd CHF, what I did was I set the alerts up manually. So I have the specific price points from, like right here, I just got like TP2, I just copy that. And then I just hit add alert. And then I put in the price right here and I just put in the alert. So if you click on this right here, it says right here, all the information I put in, specific price, odd CHF TP2 plus 20. So that once price reaches that point, I get that automated message. And then that's how I give you guys the updates so that, I don't need to be staring at the charts all day to give you guys updates that we hit TP. It's just whenever we hit TP, I'll get the notification and then I can send you guys the update manually so that you guys can see that, we actually did hit TP. And that's how we don't miss anything either. That's why our results are pretty much on point. Like we don't miss any stop losses. We don't miss any TPs or any of that. But yeah, so let me go back to odd NZD. I think this is what I was on, guys. Sorry, I think we were at odd USD. So same situation right here. I'm gonna erase everything. I'm going to turn on the K2SRs. And then I'm gonna draw these zones. All right. And a lot of people ask me, how do I draw these zones so quickly? It all really comes with practice, guys. I do this every single day and I do this every week with you guys live. So you guys can see why it's so easy for me to do this. But if you guys keep doing this every day, it becomes second nature. Like you don't even have to think about it. So you can see I drew all these zones within a few seconds. Like a lot of people take a lot of time drawing, not even the K2SR zones, but drawing their own zones. And it just takes away from your trading efficiency because sometimes you have to be on point and you have to be able to make those moves right away or you're going to miss the trade, So I do recommend that you guys practice it. I mean, don't just wait for me to draw the zones for you because it's really easy. Like you guys can see right here, you just turn on the K2SR and then you just draw your zones over the K2SR zones. And you can see right there, I did it within a few seconds. So now I know exactly where to trade and where not to trade. So right here for odd USD, this actually looks like a really nice sell. So I'm going to wait for this candle to close below it. I'm going to mark it though. because it looks like a great entry right there. So what I anticipate happening here is same strategy. So as you can see, price broke this lower zone right here, and the momentum is going to be coming down because the momentum signal came right here. So since price is coming down, if it closed below the zone within the next 46 minutes, then I anticipate price to come down from here and test this zone down here. So if you count how many pips is from that whole move, you know, we can catch nearly 100 pips off this single move right here. It's probably not going to be that much because I'm probably going to be putting my stop loss at the previous swing. So we'd probably be going for maybe a 60 to 70 pip move right here. But, you know, nonetheless, it's probably going to come down and test this zone like it did over here. Price came up, rejected off this point, and then it came down. Same situation right here. Price came up, came down, and it's probably going to continue back down to retest this zone down here. So I'm going to keep watching this. I'm going to come back to it in about 45 minutes once this candle closes, because we need that confirmation that price is broke and closed below this K2SR zone. But just looking at the zone right here, I'll give you guys its parameters. This zone right here is going to be 0.7192, and this lower zone down here is going to be 0.7102. Let's see, Josh said, thanks for the explanation. Makes sense to have multiple positions with TP set. Yeah, definitely, Josh. I mean, it depends on how you want to set it up. I just went over, if you guys watched the last mentoring session I had with Lisa, we talked about how to set TPs. You know, some people like to set multiple TPs in multiple positions. Like they'll have like TP1 like somewhere over here, and then they'll have TP2 like somewhere down here. Or some people just like to take one big position and just adjust your stop loss. So let's say their stop loss is up here, but they just have one position. So once price reaches TP1 down here, they just move their stop loss there instead of running multiple positions. But, you know, there's no right or wrong way to do it, because in the end, your profits are probably going to be the same anyways. You know, if you run 2 positions, 3 positions, or if you just run, oh, there we go, the odd CHF. So our odd CHF, I just called it earlier, just hit TP2 for 20 pips. I'm going to post the update for that right now. But yeah, Josh, I mean, there's a ton of different ways to manage your position. You don't have to run multiple positions, but if you want to and you like trading that way, you know, there's no problem with that, because you're going to hit the same profits regardless. But all right, so that looks great. Our odd CHF hit TP2. Let me send the update for that one as well. Wow. Well, look at that drop, guys. That's crazy. We were literally just looking at it when it was up here a few minutes ago. I mean, it goes to show, you know, how strong the K2 indicators are. Like, we were able to anticipate this drop way before it even happened. All right. Copy that. So odd CHF, 20 pips. All right, TP2 for 20 pips. Just gonna put this in the other group. All right, cool. Let's see, I'm gonna check the messages real quick. Andre said, this is great live teaching. I'm actually learning while learning, not just taking signals 100%. Yeah, definitely, Andre. This is what I want for everyone. You know, like a lot of people like to just copy signals, but for me, I want you guys to actually understand, you know, why I made this call, because it's really easy and literally anyone can, you know, apply the same strategies that I applied. Like, I'm not hiding no balls here. You guys literally saw me identify that entry and I called it like right as I saw it. Anyone can do this. It's not that difficult. A lot of people like to make trading super difficult. And a lot of people hate on indicators, but the thing is, indicators are like training wheels. Like for me, I'm able to see this stuff on the chart without having, you know, the indicators on there. Like I'm able to see these patterns because I've been trading for so long and I stare at the charts every single day. You know, if you guys look at the charts enough, you guys will be able to see all the stuff on the chart without actually having anything on there. But if you look at it as a naked chart and you don't know what you're doing, obviously you're not going to see anything. But if you just try and, you know, put on the training wheels, you guys can see that it pretty much paints a picture for you. And that's what I'm trying to show you guys. Like I'm trying to show you guys that you guys can learn how to trade exactly like I do, and you guys can use the K2 indicators to help you guys make those educated decisions while you're learning. But the more and more you trade, the easier and easier it'll be for you to identify these, these movements in the chart. Let's see. Josh, the crazy drop. I just took profit. Cool. Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's good that you took profit, because usually after a drop like this, you never really know what's going to happen. It could retrace back up or it can drop even further. So if you took profit already halfway, that's perfect, because you made that much profit just being in this webinar for a few minutes. And I would probably do the same too if I was in your position, especially with what I mentioned earlier with Trump talking about coronavirus news and stuff like that, or his doctor talking about the coronavirus news. They could heavily affect the CHF pair, since the CHF pair is a safe haven currency. Let's see. All right, we have one more question from Angel. Angel said, you have to be in premium to add the K2 indicator on TradingView. Yeah, Angel. So in order to have the K2 indicators, you'll need an active subscription to the K2 strategies. And if you want to have access to that, you just need to go to our website at k2trades.com. You just need to go to our website at k2trades.com, and then you can gain your access there. Let me see if there's any news today. All right, so no news right now. I'm gonna keep going through the list, and then I'm gonna try to get to all of these pairs by the end of tonight. So let's see. Wallace said, how about GU? So yeah, Wallace, I'll get to that pair as I move down. I'm going down in order. So if you guys want to go back and rewatch the live, you guys can go and grab, pretty much all of the zones for each pair just by rewinding, because you'll see that I went down this list right here. So I don't want to, I just don't want to jump around to GU right now, because what if someone wants to look at GU at some point and you guys won't know where to rewind from. So sorry, I'm not going to jump to the front, but I'm going to get to that pair eventually. We have no specific questions for these pairs over here, so I'm going to try to zoom through it. And then so everyone gets those parameters, and I'll get to GU as soon as possible. So right here for AU, I'm not sure if I gave you guys the parameters, but I'll give it to you guys again. This upper zone right here is going to be 0.7120. Oh, sorry. It's 0.7192. I'm going to round that up. And this lower zone right here is going to be 0.7102. So like I mentioned before, I'm going to come back to this pair once this closes in 38 minutes because we have a sell momentum right here. And if this closes below the zone, I'm anticipating it to come down right here. So I'm going to enter a sell and I'm going to call that trade for you guys once we get to that point. But I'm going to give it some time right here for 38 minutes. So I'm going to leave that alone. And then I'm going to keep going through to the next pairs. CAD CHF right here. I'm going to do the same thing. Zoom out so you guys can see the full chart. I'm going to delete all of these zones and then turn on the K2SR indicator. So here we are with these zones. And then this right here. And you guys can see how easy it is. It's not that hard. If you guys have the K2 indicators, it pretty much does all the work for you. You just literally have to put your zones over the K2SR zones. So I hide those off the chart. And then you can see here that we have perfectly lined up zones. So you can see these same zones that are being tested right here were tested way back in June. And then again in May. So you can see that these are strong zones, May, June, April. It's literally been tested the same area since March. So months ago, it came back to the same exact price point. So you can see how strong these zones are. But okay, so let me turn on the momentum indicator. Right here, we have a sell momentum. So basically what I see happening here is it's probably gonna come down, test the zone right here. But when it reaches this point, it can either reject off it or continue downwards. So in order for me to enter this trade, I wanted to close down here so that I can ride this move down to this next zone, because currently price is just too close to the zone right now. It's only about 3 pips, which is less than spread. Spread's 4 pips. So in order to get in this trade, you're going to be at -4. You'll get in at such a low price down here that you'll be in the negative, and you probably won't be able to make any profit until it closes like way down here. So I'm going to skip this trade for now. It doesn't look like there's anything worth taking off this, but I'll give you guys the parameters. So this upper zone right here is going to be 0.6942. And this lower zone right here is going to be 0.6918. I'm going to round that up. Nice. Logic said it's 2:21 in South Africa right now. You're killing it. Thanks, Logic. Thanks for staying up. It's like 2 a.m. over there. I wouldn't be up at this time. But yeah, I mean, money doesn't sleep, right? So if you want to make some money, you got to stay up. Let's move on to this next one, CAD/JPY. We have these zones from last week. I'm going to delete those. Turn on the K2SRs. And then we can draw these zones over the K2SRs. So again, right here, I'm talking to you guys, I'm drawing these zones, I'm doing this in a few seconds, and this is how easy it is for you guys to, draw these zones and be ready to take trades. If you guys have access to the K2 indicators. All right, so that looks good. Perfect, there we go. So I'm gonna go and zoom out of this. I'm gonna hide the K2SR indicator. And there we go, we got some perfect zones. So the same area where it's been tested right here, it tested it way back in June. And again, way back in February. So you can see that these are strong zones right here. So let's check this out over here. I'm gonna turn on the K2 momentum indicator. Yeah, it looks like price is coming down. So this might be good for a late entry. Let me just go ahead and measure this. I'm going to correlate these with the other JPY pairs. I'm going to make sure they're all moving in the same direction. So if they are, we could actually call late entry right here for this, this move right here, because price broke the zone right here. Plus we got a sell signal. So since that happened, I'm anticipating price to come down and test this zone right here, which would be, let's see, not too bad. It's about a 26 pip move, which is not bad at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to compare this with all of the other pairs. Let's see. So odd JPY, it's coming down pretty heavy. I might even take a trade right there. CAD JPY is coming down as well. CHF JPY is sort of coming down. EJ is coming down as well. GJ, it's going sideways, but it's a pretty nice bearish candle right there. So it's probably going to continue down. NJ is coming down super nice. UCAD. Sorry, not UCAD, UJ is going up. So let's see, actually, I don't know if there are, yeah, they're not all fully correlated. So pretty much here, AJ, CJ, EJ, GJ, and NJ, they're all coming down. However, it looks like UJ is not. So it makes it a little hard because you don't want to, like, if they were all going the same direction, then yeah, I'd be so set on taking this trade. However, if they're kind of iffy, like they are, with these, then it might not be 100%. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and I'm going to check all the CAD pairs, and I'm going to make sure that all the CAD pairs are actually weak. So right here for odd CAD, the CAD's actually strong here. The CAD is weak here. Your CAD. The CAD is weak here as well. So it's kind of hard to correlate when not everything is going the same direction. Right here, the CAD's weak as well. The CAD's strong here. So this is where there's kind of it's kind of iffy because they're not all going the same direction. Okay, so it looks like it's 50-50. CAD's weak, CAD's strong. So I'm not going to be calling this trade just yet. It just seems a little too risky for me to really hop into, because the last thing I want to do is I hop in and then it ends up going the opposite direction, right? So we're going to hold off on that. But the zones for this one is going to be, so this upper zone right here is going to be 80.43, and this lower zone right here is going to be 80.02. But it might come down. I mean, the thing with me is I like to be very careful with my trades. I only want to call trades that I'm like 100% sure they're going to move in that direction. This is probably going to be like maybe like a 70-30 trade, or maybe a 60-40 trade where I'm 60% there or 70% there, but I'm not 100%. So until I'm 100% or somewhere close, like in the 90 range, then I would call it. But yeah, this is just a little iffy. Yeah, Josh said iffy CAD, right? Yeah, I agree with you, Josh. I just try to correlate them with the other pairs, and they just don't look like they're all moving the same direction. So let me keep going down the list, and then we'll see if there's anything else that we can possibly take. But we still have about 30 minutes in this candle for like any other pair, so we'll come back and look at that in a little bit. Nassim said, "Did you look at gold yet?" I haven't looked at gold. Yeah, like what Josh said, I don't trade gold, but I can analyze it for you. So once we get down to that point, I'm going down the list right here. I'm barely on CHFJPY. I still want to go over GU for Wallace. So once we get down to GU right here, I'm going to go over GU, and then I'm also going to go down to gold right here if you want me to keep looking at that. Yeah, so US 30 is still down here too. I'm going down the watch list so that when people go back and rewatch the live, they can go in order as to the watch list. So if you were like, say if you pulled up the live right here and you want to see what I covered up here, you can just rewind to this point. So that's why I'm going to go in order. But once we get down to that point, I'll analyze both gold and US 30 for you guys. Right now I'm on CHFJPY. Let's draw these zones here. Delete that. I'm going to turn on the K2SR indicator. All right, let's draw these zones. Yeah, sure, Angel. I'll take a look at SPX as well. So once I get down to the indices, I'll probably do those all together. And then I'll look at both US 30 and SPX. So this looks good. Pairs like this, like CHF, JPY, are kind of messy too because they're both safe haven currencies. So they generally move in the same direction when there's coronavirus news or some type of US news, and that's why there's so many zones that are so close to each other. But yeah, check out CHF, JPY right here. You can see that the zones are lined up pretty perfectly. There's a lot of zones, but you can see that price generally rejects off these zones pretty nicely. Yeah, it's not something that I would trade because, like I mentioned, once price reaches these areas, they can either reject off it or they can continue downwards. And it's not a safe asset to trade if if you can get caught in these random reversals. So let me check out the momentum. We do have a sell momentum here, but like I mentioned, it's at this zone right here. So it can well enough easily just reject off here and shoot back up. So I'm not going to take this trade, or I'm probably not going to call any trades for this anytime soon until price reaches somewhere down here where there's an open area, because then we could take a sell right here and ride this down to the next zone. However, it doesn't look like that's going to happen, probably any other time soon. But yeah, so if you're looking at CHFJPY, the upper zone right here is going to be 116.125, and the lower zone down here is going to be 115.480. Let's move on to the next pair, euro odd. I'm going to delete these off, turn on the K2SR. Zoom out from here. Cool, yeah, Tiffany's asking if we can look at UCAD. So once we get to that point down there, I'll make sure to spend some more time on that pair so that we can look at that more in detail. Your odd looks super messy, but I think it'll look fine once we take off these K2SRs. Let me hide this. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. It does bounce around and it's super choppy all over. But I mean, all in all, it's still, marks up the zones pretty nicely. So let's turn on the momentum indicator. Oh man, it looks like I don't know if I called this. Let's see. So this was a nice move right here, actually. See, if we took this buy right here. Oh, it happened during the spread. Okay, that makes sense. That's why we weren't able to take this trade, because a swap spread happened and we didn't take this. But if we did, we would have been in profit like 60 pips already. And this is what I mean about the rejection point. So basically, price came down here. It broke this zone right here, and then we got a buy signal. So if we identified that and it wasn't during the swap spread, we could have taken a buy right there and we would have been deep in profit. Same situation right here. Price came up, it broke below the zone right here, then we got a sell signal, right? What happens from there? It goes from here and tests this zone and then rejects right off it. And then we pretty much just ride these moves from zone to zone. And it's super simple if you guys are able to, just follow the rules from like step to step, like step by step. Exactly. If you just follow exactly what I mentioned every time, it's so easy to catch these moves. Like right here, we got price where price broke below the zone, got a sell signal, and then it tested the zone. So you could have exited right here. It broke the zone again right here, rode that down even further. Buy signal right here, too close to the zone, wouldn't have taken it. Sell signal, too close to this zone, wouldn't have taken it. But then once price gets up and around these other areas, then so we probably would have avoided all of these because they're so close to these zones. But right here, we got this buy signal. Price broke above this zone right here, and then you could have taken another buy position right there. So you guys can see that I pretty much run the same exact strategy every single day, for every single week, for every single month. And these are pretty much all of the signals that I call, and you guys can pretty much identify those yourself if you guys just learn the strategy. But yeah, so looking at EA right here, it's shot up way too high. So I'm not going to enter this trade because even though it's like way up here, it can either continue up to test the zone, or it can pull back and retest this area before it shoots back to the, where we're anticipating it to go. Yeah, we're 100 pips late, so I'm not going to call this trade, but you guys can see right here, if you guys took that buy, you would have been super deep in profit for those of you that are applying the strategy yourself. Let's see. So Diamond said, so essentially you wouldn't trade while in the zone, right? You trade with momentum while in the open area. Correct me if I'm misunderstanding. So Diamond, the way that this strategy works is, I mean, it's super simple. So this is the K2SR zone trading strategy. So the first requirement is that you confirm, break, close past a K2SR level, K2SR zone. And then next you identify the direction of momentum using the K2 momentum indicator. So that's pretty much all that you're looking for. So basically what you're waiting for is you're waiting for price to break and close past the K2SR zone. So price came within a zone right here, and then it closed above it. Next, you want to identify the direction of momentum. So right here, we had a buy momentum candle, right? You would have entered a buy right there. So that's the entry. But your question, you're asking if you wouldn't trade while in the zone. And yeah, so we don't trade within the zone because that doesn't fulfill the requirement. The very first requirement is to confirm a break and close past the K2SR zone. So if price is within the zone, there's no break and close past it. So obviously, yeah, if it's within the zone, you're not going to take the trade. But if it closes above it or below it, and it fulfills all of the other requirements, then yeah, you would take it. So like right here, price was within the zone, but right here, price broke the zone, right? So if price broke the zone, that's the first requirement right there. Second requirement, identify the direction of momentum, which was right here. So price broke it. We have the momentum upwards. You would take a buy right there. Same situation right here. Price was above the zone. It broke the zone right here. And then we had the direction of momentum coming downward. So if we saw this right here, we would have taken a sell right here, and it would have hit TP again right there. So yeah, I'm not sure if you know, we're both analyzing it the same way, because the way that you're mentioning it, it kind of sounds a little different from how the strategy works. Because we don't wait for it, like we don't even look at it if it's within the zone. We wait for it to break and close past the zone. So maybe if there's like some confusion there, maybe go back and watch that video. But yes, so we don't trade when it's within the zones, because when it reaches these zones, one of two things could happen. Like right here, when price reached the zone, it could either have came below and continue downwards. So I'm going to go and rewind this just so you can see what I mean by this. So right here, when price is within the zone, price could have either came down or it could have rejected above it. So that's why we don't take trades when they're within the zone, because you don't want to take a 50-50 chance, right? You want to take like a 90% chance or 100% chance that, you know, the trade's going to go in your direction. Because even though we had a sell momentum here and price is below this area, well, it was technically within the zone. If we took this sell entry right here, we probably would have lost because price came upwards. So that's why we wait for price to like move and close outside of the zone, and then we look at the direction of momentum, so we can pretty much just ride that wave in that direction. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. I know it might be a little confusing at first, but you know, the more and more you apply it, the easier it'll be for you to spot it. But yeah, that's pretty much the strategy right there. Super simple. You know, it just takes a lot of patience because we do trade this on the 4-hour time frame. And, you know, it's kind of hard to wait for this candle to close. Like right now, it's at 19 minutes. You know, some people would have wanted to get in a little early to get that head start. But the thing is, if you don't wait for the candle to close or, you know, be outside of the zones, then you could get caught in some sort of reversal. But yeah, looking at EA right here, the upper zone is going to be located at 1.6510. And then this lower zone right here is going to be at 1.6353. So that's EA right there. Let me continue down. We got about 40 minutes left. So I'm going to start looking for trades once we get at the 550 mark. And I'm going to try to zoom through these as quick as possible so that I can get down to, you know, the specific pairs that you guys wanted me to focus on, which, if I can remember, is GU for Wallace, and then UCAD for Tiffany, and then see, I think Nassim wanted me to look at gold, so I'm going to look at gold, also US30 and SPX. So I'm just going to zoom through these because I don't think many people trade your CAD anyways, but I'm just going to go and draw up these zones for you guys just in case. And this is why, because it's super messy. Like I generally like to stay away from these messy pairs because you could get caught in a lot of noise if you end up trading within, you know, these specific areas. But yeah, so I'm gonna draw these. And sometimes it's subjective. Like if the zones are too close, it's gonna be your call whether you want to draw a zone there or not. But most of the time I just draw the zone anyways to stay safe, because obviously I don't want to trade in those areas where price is likely to reject from. But yeah, looking at your CAD right here, it looks like it's stuck within the zone. So it looks like it's retracing back up, and then it might just consolidate within the zone before it either breaks out upwards or breaks out downwards. So it's a little risky to take right now, I'd say. I'd have to wait for it to break below, but let's check out the momentum indicator. Yeah, so it has a sell momentum here. Going back to the same analysis I just discussed before, right here, price broke this zone and it closed below. And then we had a sell signal. So pretty much what happened here was it came down to this next zone over here, kind of consolidated a little bit, and then just continued down even further. So right now we still have a sell bias. So what I'm anticipating is price to come down further and close below this point and then drop even further down. But like I mentioned, we wouldn't even bother looking at this until price closes below this zone, because at this point price can just consolidate or go both ways. Just looking at this area over here where it tested it back in September, you can see that price came down at this point, rejected right off it, and shot straight up. And then it did the same thing again over here. So right here, price came down below and then it shot right back up. So right here, one of two things could happen. It could either shoot right back up or it could continue back further down. But we'll probably have to give that some time before we can make any determination whether it's going to continue down or bounce back up. All right, Euro CHF right here. This closed below this zone. So let me just redraw these zones here. All right, so this upper zone right here, this lower zone here. These two zones over here. So I'm actually going to connect these zones over here because they're so close to each other. Or I can do this as well. Cool, I'm going to hide this K2SR. And then you can see right here that these zones are perfectly lined up. And you can see that this pair usually, it pretty much goes sideways. It's literally been going sideways since July. And then it came down a little bit and it went sideways. It literally just goes from zone, sideways, zone, sideways, zone, sideways. And now it's currently here again. So if we don't have a lower zone here, so I'm going to go on the higher time frame, the 8-hour, and then I'm going to find the lower zone. Nothing on the 8-hour, go on the daily. And then you can see that the zone is way down here, but it's a little messy. All right. All right. So looking at these zones here, it's currently stuck within a zone here, but if it closes below it, then it can come down and test this next zone over here. So this next zone down here is going to be at 1.0722. And this upper zone over here is going to be 1.0740. But it doesn't look like there's, let me see, it's only about a 6 pip move. So I wouldn't even take this trade because the spread's 3.3 pips. So when you go in, you're going to go in with that 3 pip loss. And then when you exit, you're going to have to pay a 3 pip spread as well. So you're literally going to make no profit if you're trying to be safe about it. It'd probably be better if you waited for it to close farther down here, because the last thing you want to do is get into this trade. And then as soon as you get in, price rejects right off this point and you can't get out because you have to cover the spread. All right, so that's Euro CHF, EG, try on this K2SR, zoom out from here. All right, guys, I'm going to zoom through this a little faster. I just realized we've been on this call for a long time already. And this is fine. I don't mind answering these questions for you guys. I'm glad that you guys are here and answering these questions, but I know there's a lot of other people here that just want me to get straight to the point. So I'm going to just analyze these. I'm not going to analyze them as any entries anymore. I'm just going to go through them and draw up these zones for you guys. And if you guys have any other specific questions for specific pairs, I can analyze those more in detail, but we do have a couple that people already want right now. So I'm going to focus on those currently. And then I'll take more time at the end just so that you guys can have more of an open forum where you can ask me questions. But looking at EG right here, so we have a sell bias. There's a sell signal right here, but price is within the zone. So what we're waiting for is we're waiting for price to close below here to possibly take a sell entry, or below here, or even better below here. This is probably the best area for it to be, because you can see that there's only so much space in between these two areas. So there's about an 18 pip gap from this zone to this zone, and the spread's about 2-3 pips. So like I mentioned, you want to have at least some cushion to exit these trades before price either rejects off it, because it could come down and reject off this point, or it could come down here and reject off this point as well. So either way, it's a risky trade to take. So I'd wait for it to close below here and take that ride down, because you can see right here, the last time it broke right here, right? You could have rode this all the way down to this next zone for like 100 pips. And for EG, that's a huge profit because it's worth a lot more. And it's just all about patience, guys. All right, so that's EG right there. The upper zone right here is going to be 0.90 0.98, and this lower zone down here is going to be 0.9 thousand. I'll just make it easy. Yeah, 0.9 thousand to get that lower point down there. So nothing there. EJ right here. I'm going to zoom through this real quick because it is getting closer to 6. So I want to be able to look for any new trades as well. All right, so that's that right there. That's right there. It's good so far. Cool. So for EG right here, or EJ, sorry, I'm going to zoom out from here. It looks like it's rejecting off this point. Let me see the momentum. So we actually have a buy momentum right here. So if this was to reject off this point and come back right here, then I would take a buy entry because we have a buy momentum, right? However, if we get a sell signal and it closes below this point, then I'm going to take a sell. So currently right now for EJ, there's no entry because it's rejecting off this point. It's pretty much just going to consolidate sideways until it either breaks above or breaks below. So that's what I'm waiting for right now for this specific pair. However, there's nothing there right now, so we're just going to ignore it at this time. EN right here, I'm just going to zoom through this. K2SRs. See, this is a pair that I actually like when the zones are like this. They're so spread out and far off that that they are easy to identify. Nice. All right, cool. So there's EN right there. Take that off. We do have a buy bias right here. So price did reject off this point. We got a buy momentum candle right there. However, I wouldn't take this trade until it closes above here so that I can ride this from this zone to this zone up here for about 60 pips. There could be an entry right here as well, but it's kind of too tight. You can see it's 15 pips. It's not enough for you to really take that ride. However, if it continues down, so it's coming up and testing this area. If we get a sell signal, then you could actually ride this down from here to this point for about 50 pips. So this can literally go either way. But currently, I think we're just going to hold off on it until we have some extra confirmation there before we decide to enter any of these trades. But this upper zone right here is going to be 1.7815, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.7709. So that's EN right there. Here's EU. I'm going to zoom through this again as well. And the thing with these zones is that you don't have to redraw new zones every week because you can see that we have these zones right here, right? And let me see how different they are from last week. So we drew these zones last week, but if you look at the zones now, it's the same exact zones. These are just a little tighter. It's a smaller zone. However, overall, it's the same exact zone. So literally we do this every week. And you don't have to go and draw new zones every week, but I like to do it because, obviously we want to be on point with our trades 100%. So, if you drew your zones last week, you don't have to go and draw them again, but it's better to go ahead and update them rather than be stuck on those old zones, because sometimes the zones get closer, sometimes they get wider. It just really depends on how the market moved that previous week. But yeah, here's EU. Hide that. All right, so it's stuck within a zone right here. Here's the momentum indicator. We actually have a buy signal that was right here, so the momentum is actually going up. So, and then right here we have a sell signal. So this could literally go either way. So if this sell signal closes and price comes below here, then it's probably going to continue down further. However, if this candle doesn't close with the signal, then we might see a rejection off this point and a shoot right back up. So there's two different scenarios right there for EU. However, it's stuck within a zone right now. So until it breaks outside of the zone, then it's not something that I'm really too interested in, because this candle closed in about 6 minutes. I don't think much is going to happen from now until then. So we'll probably have to wait for the next 4-hour candle at 10 p.m. or something. But if you guys are looking at it, the upper zone right here is going to be 1.1866, and the lower zone down here is going to be 1.1791. All right, here's our GA position right here. It looks like it's about to hit full TP for 90 pips. Looking really nice. So let's see. I think these zones are already drawn from earlier. Oh, no, okay, they're not even drawn at all. So I'm going to go and delete all these zones again. I thought I drew them this morning when I called this trade, but it looks like the zones have changed since then. Yeah, so they're not too far off, but I'm just going to update them anyways. All right. All right, cool. So there are those zones right there. I'm going to hide these off the chart. So we currently have a buy right now for GA. And if price closes above this zone right here, then it could continue up even farther to this zone over here. So it's probably gonna hit our full TP, which is great. And it might even provide for another entry actually. I don't know, should we double up on this? The 50 pip move. And we'll think about it. We still have it active right now. I'm probably not gonna call another one and add extra risk to it. But it does look like if it closes above it, like it did right here, it's going to continue upwards to test this next zone, which could be really good for us. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone for now. Let's see, we got 4 minutes, guys. So I'm just gonna scan through these charts real quick. I left off on GC. So I'm gonna go down each pair. I'm just gonna make sure there's no entries available here. Odd CAD, looks like there is actually a nice entry right there. How many pips? No, it's not enough. It's only about 19 pips. The spread's about 3 pips. So going in and out of it, we're gonna have to pay a 6 pip spread. It's only gonna provide for like a 10 pip profit at most, because once it reaches this point over here, price could either reject off it or it can continue down. And that's not something that, I don't want to take a chance on it. I want to make sure that there's enough space for us to lock in some nice profits off this trade. So there's nothing on odd CAD right now. Odd CHF is still looking good. It's pretty deep in profit. Odd JPY, I might call this. So let me draw this right here. I'm probably gonna do a 40 pip move, because the thing is this zone right here is too far down, or maybe I have to do a 45. Yeah, that actually looks all right. So I'm gonna leave that open right there. We've got about 3 minutes left in this candle, less than 3 minutes. So I'm probably gonna call that in a little bit. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, odd USD right here too. All right, 63 pips right there. It's a nice move. So it looks like the Aussie pairs are going to be our main focus right now. I think I was looking at CAD JPY, but it didn't really fit my criteria. So I'm just going to zoom through these real quick to make sure there's nothing else here that you might want to take. No, it doesn't look like there's anything there. I'm going to just leave the SRs open so I can see. It might look like it's a little hard for you guys to see, but I can see right through it because I do this so often. Still active. All right, cool. So I think that's it for Actually, NU, no, it's too close. UCAD, not close. All right, yeah, so I think that's about it for these. We got about 2 minutes left in this candle, so I'm probably going to call those trades before I continue moving forward. But it does look pretty good so far. So odd JPY. See, this is where it gets a little tricky. We have like a minute left in the candle. Some people would enter this trade already, but I wait for it to close because the last, this thing can actually push up within that last minute, and you're gonna get screwed because you're gonna get into an invalid entry. So I'm gonna give it a few seconds, 40 seconds left on this candle, and then I'm going to make this call for odd JPY and odd USD. Looks like I could push this up a little more. 65. A lot of space there. It's a pretty big move. Same right here with odd JPY. All right, so we got 22 seconds. I can probably just call it right now. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference from now until then. So if you guys are not in the premium, here's a freebie for you guys again. So JPY entry is going to be there. 45 pips. 2. All right, there we go for odd JPY. Sell, and then odd USD right here. All right, same thing with this. Pips. All right, I think we're good. All right, perfect. Looks like we're all good right here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to set my alerts. 116 pips. 32. Got those set up. Now for odd JPY real quick. So these are probably going to move slow, guys, because we are in Asia session now. So we'll have to be really patient for these. Yeah, everything's pretty much set up now. TP. Perfect. Everything looks good. All right, so everything looks good. AUDJPY is coming back down. Looks like it's about to hit TP1 right now. Same with AUDUSD. So if you guys took those two trades, I mean, they're looking great. If you guys are in the premium, you guys have the exact parameters. If you guys are in the public, if you guys want to get the parameters, they're right here. But I'm going to keep moving along because we've been on this webinar for a while. So I'm going to get through everything so I can cover everyone's questions. And if you guys have any other questions at the end, I can answer those for you. But let's go back to GCAD right here. I'm going to delete all of these off the chart. I'm going to draw these zones. Let's see. All right, perfect. Team says it's too quick for me to hop into US there. NA. So yeah, US 100 is a NASDAQ 100. It's really up to you too. I mean, I don't trade that, so I can't really say. I only trade US 30. But you know, any indice is still a risky asset to trade unless you're like 100%. I don't recommend you trade any indice unless you're like 100%. You know what you're doing, because you can blow your whole account with like one trade trading indices. So it might be a little too it might be a little too risky. I mean, I don't know, I don't know what your risk is on those, but I've seen some people jump in too early and they've blown their accounts like instantly. So I'm not going to recommend it. But if you want to practice on it, you could with like a smaller, like just use a smallest lot size or use a demo account or something. I just personally don't think anyone should just jump into, I don't think anyone should jump into indices just like that. Let's see. Business Paying said, can you do an automatic zone script? I mean, the script's already there. So I'm just drawing these zones on for myself because I want to have cleaner zones. So this is what it looks like with the drawn zones, but the script is already there. So here's the zones that are on the chart already. So it's the same thing. I mean, but you can see the difference. You can see it's kind of hard to see with these zones versus drawing your own zones right over them and hiding it. So the script's already there. If you guys have access to the K2 indicators, it's the K2SR version 2 indicator. But yeah, I like to draw my own zones over it because it looks a lot cleaner. And TradingView just doesn't have the option where I can code it to have it like this yet. I mean, I know they're working towards it, but it's not available yet. So that's why the zones look like this currently. And that's why I use the filled in zones to, pretty much do it. So it looks a lot easier. But yeah, okay. So there's GCAD right there. The upper zone right here is going to be 1.7157. And the lower zone down here is going to be 1.7068. Looking at the momentum indicator right here, we have a bullish momentum. So if price closes above this zone right here, then we can enter a buy for about 40, 50, or about 50 pips. So that's GCAD right there. Moving on to the next one. GC over here. So GBP Let's delete these zones. Turn on the K2SR indicator. And let's draw our zones over them. All right, there we go with that. Let's see, we can put two zones right here. All right, cool. So let me hide this. And there are the zones for GC right there. So the upper zone right here is going to be 1.18895. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.1803. It's currently consolidating. You can see, it's clearly it's going sideways right here. We do have a bullish bias right here, but obviously price just literally bounces back and forth. So it's not really, it's just ranging right now. So until it breaks above it to this point, then I would take a buy. However, if it breaks below down here, then I would take a sell. But me personally, I don't like to trade ranging pairs. Most of our strategies are based on trend continuation with momentum. So I think it's just too risky if you're going to enter a trade right here where it just basically bounces back and forth. So that's GBP CHF. Let's move on to the next one. All right, GJ right here. I'm going to go through and delete these zones. Turn on the K2SR indicator. Go with that upper zone. Zone's right there. This one right there. All right, I'm going to connect these two. Looks like I still got this alert from last week. We actually hit full TP on that one already. I think last Friday for 100 pips. All right, cool. So there are those zones right there. Zoom out from here. So it looks like it is rejecting off this lower zone right here. Our momentum is, so currently we have a sell signal right here, but it's currently at the zone. So even if we did get a sell signal right here, if we followed it with a buy signal, like, cause you can see right here, we got a sell signal and it was at the zone, right? So what happened from there was it rejected off it and shot upwards. Same situation right here. We have a sell signal. It's within the zone though. So in order for this to, provide for some sort of entry, it'd have to shoot like way down here for us to enter this trade to pretty much catch this move downwards right here for about 60-ish pips. We wouldn't want to trade within these smaller zones right here, like this little open area, because it's only 14 pips. Spread's about 5 pips. So you're gonna pay about 10 pips in spread. So it's not worth the risk taking that specific trade. However, if price is to, so say if this sell signal disappears, right? And it ends up being a bullish candle. So if it ends up being a bullish candle and this candle disappears, the sell signal, then the previous momentum is going to be down here for a bullish momentum upwards. Like right there, you can see it disappeared. So if this candle closes bullish, then I could anticipate that to shoot on further upwards. So if that happens, then I would take a buy entry right here and pretty much ride this up for about 100 pips. But we're not going to really have that confirmation until this candle closes. This candle just started, so it's not going to close for another 3 hours and 47 minutes. All right, GN, this is one of the trades I called, I think, this morning. I think the zone should be fine, but let me just double check. Yeah, hide these because I'm pretty sure I drew these zones. That's why I called that trade earlier. So looking at the zones, they look perfectly fine. Yeah, so the zones are perfect. I did the zones this morning. It's still currently active. It's pretty deep in profit, almost at full TP for 75 pips. But just for your guys' reference, this upper zone right here is going to be 1.9696. And this lower zone right here is going to be 1.9577. So those are the two rejection points right there. It's looking perfectly fine. So if you guys are still in it, it's pretty deep in profit. I think most people might have gone stop down profit already. However, if you're still in, it still looks like a good trade. All right, we finally made it to GU. So Wallace, if you're still here, I'm going to cover GU now. Let me delete these zones off the chart. Turn on K2SR version 2. And here we go. I'm going to draw this upper zone right here. Draw this lower one right here. This one right here. This one down here. And this one down here. So right here, we don't have an upper zone. In order for us to get this upper zone right here, we're going to go on the higher time frame. So we're currently on the 4 hour. We're going to go to the 8 hour. And you can see that there's actually a couple of zones in this area. So I'm going to draw this zone right here. I'm also going to draw this upper zone way up here. All right, so looking at this chart right here, this, so currently it's rejecting off this, it's like within a zone, but it's like bouncing around right here. But this upper zone right here is going to be 1.3063. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.3007. So let me pull up the momentum indicator. And right here, we have a pretty strong bullish bias. It's actually been pushing up since September 25th. It's literally pushed up, sideways, pushed up, sideways, pushed up, and then now it's going sideways again. So in order for me to take this entry right here, I would want price to close above this zone. So price is currently below the zone right here, but if it closes above it, then I could take a long position right there. But you can see right there that we have a sell signal that keeps appearing and disappearing. So if that candle closes with the signal intact, then odds are it's probably going to come down and test this zone right here. So this is probably going to give us more options, because if we have that sell signal, then price is probably going to come down right here, and it could either reject off it and correct back upwards, or it can continue downwards. So it just depends on how the market reacts to, you know, what is happening right now, because I think the COVID news was coming out soon, or something about Trump. Let me see if I can see anything here. I know that something happened with COVID news and stuff. So I'm gonna say COVID will end up costing the US 16 trillion. Okay. So if that's the case, then the US dollar is going to be weak. But the thing is, I mean, COVID doesn't make it good for any country. So, depending on how bad the news is, you know, and I'm not going to go and speculate how the news is going to be affected, but generally, if the US dollar is going to be weak, then it's going to continue back upwards, right? So prices down here, if this closes above this point right here, then I would take a buy, and then I would just ride that move up here for about 80, 80-ish pips. So this could be perfectly fine right here. However, you know, we don't know how price is going to react, you know, an hour or so from now, because this candle closes in about 3 hours. So it's got a long time before it can decide whether it wants to continue, like swing back up here and provide for this open field to catch a buy, or if it's going to continue downwards and test this area down here. So this is an iffy, it's iffy to take right now until you have some sort of confirmation. The confirmation is going to be whether price closes above here or continues down and closes somewhere around here where you can take a sell. So GU, I mean, it looks like a good trade to follow possibly. And we have an active AU right now, which is coming down. So, you know, depending if they both move in correlation with each other and they're both parallel, then this might just continue downwards. But who knows? Like, we won't really know until there's something that actually pushes price in that specific direction. So for GU right now, I'd probably hold off. I'd wait for it to either close above here or close with the sell signal down here. But if none of those appear, then I'd probably just wait, because it's probably just going to go sideways until that happens. Closes above or closes below. So yeah, that's GU for you guys. Let me move on to the next one. All right, NZD CAD. This is a position that was active from last week. It's technically still active. It's currently in profit. We did hit TP2. I closed this myself last week before the weekend, but it looks like it's still going to continue downwards. So let me just check these zones, make sure the zones are still cool. Yeah, looks like the zones are still the same. However, it looks like there's an extra zone down here. Sure, no problem, Wallace. Yeah, looking at NZD CAD right here, we still have this active position. The upper zone right here is going to be 0.8726, and this lower zone down here is going to be 0.8677. So this looks good right here. It looks like a nice rejection off this point. Looking at the momentum indicator, we do have a sell momentum right here. So I do anticipate this to continue down further to either retest this zone and hit or hit our full TP down here. So NZD CAD is looking pretty good right now. Let's see NZD CHF right here. All right, so these zones look, so I'm just gonna move this one over here. It looks like this one's a little off. Otherwise, it looks like everything else looks perfectly fine. I don't think there's a zone there. And this zone looks fine. I'm just gonna close it down a little bit. Right there. All right, cool. So we have these lined up right here. Hide that. So for NZD CHF, the closest upper zone right here is going to be 0.6058. And this lower zone down here is going to be 0.6025. And then we have a sell momentum. So if price closes below this lower zone that I just mentioned, then you can enter a sell and pretty much ride this all the way down for nearly 100 pips right here. So that looks good for that one. The next one is NJ. For NZD-JPY right here, I'm going to, let's just see if everything lines up. Sometimes it's like easier to just not draw new zones because we already have, like everything's pretty much the same from the prior week. Let's see. So this thing's changed a little bit. And as you can see, it isn't really, like, the zones don't always change a huge amount. Sometimes they barely even change at all. So in some situations, instead of drawing, like redrawing the entire zones, you can just go and make edits to your current zones. All right, so right here is NJ. It's currently within the zone over here. I'm gonna look at the momentum. It looks like it's coming down. Yeah, right here we got a sell momentum, right? So if price closes below the zone right here, then you can take a sell and ride this down to the next zone for about 30, 40 pips. But until that closes below, we're not gonna make any moves on that. Sorry, I don't know if I called the zones for you guys, but the upper zone right here is going to be 70.35. The lower zone down here is going to be 69.46. And where price currently is, this is going to be 69.867. So, you know, once price breaks that point, then you can confirm whether it's going to continue down or if it's going to shoot back up. Looking at NU right here. Let's see. Turning on the K2SR indicator. Let's hide these. All right, so looks like this adjusted a little bit right there. Let's see, right here as well, slightly. And then I think this is gone. So let's take this off. And then redraw these lower zones. Even though they're kind of relevant right now since price is way above, we'll just draw these up right here. So yeah, looking at NU right here, hide these zones. This upper zone right here is going to be 0.6643, and this lower zone down here is going to be 0.6627. So it's stuck within these two zones right here. Looking at momentum, momentum's currently coming down. So there was technically an entry right here, but it's only about 6 pips till the next zone. That's why we didn't call that trade. However, we do have a sell bias. So if price closed below this zone, then I would take a sell down here and ride this down to the next zone over here for 45 pips. So that's NZD USD right there. Like I said, there's no entry until we get down to this point. So I'd probably hold off on that for a bit. Maybe into the week, it'll probably push down far enough where we can take that trade. All right, here we are at NZD CAD. So Tiffany, if you're still here, we are going to analyze USD CAD. Let's delete all those zones, turn on the K2 SRs, and then we can draw some new zones here. All right, so I'm just going to draw a big zone because a lot of these cross over and there's just not enough space to trade within these zones. So let me create a lower zone as well. There we go. Lower zone's way down there. Okay, so let's go back to the 4-hour, hide the K2SR indicator, and here you go with the zones. So Tiffany, if you're still here, let's take a look at the momentum. Looks like we have a sell momentum that started way down here. I mean, way up here. So currently price is way down here. And we still have a sell bias right here. So I would wait for a price to break out of this zone downwards. And once it closes below here, we can take a sell and pretty much ride this down to the next zone for about 100 pips. It looks like there might have been an entry right here, but it looks like this happened right on market open or somewhere around that time. And then it looks like there was US news right here, or it's coming up soon, which can cause price to spike in a certain direction. So I wouldn't enter this late right now. I'd wait for it to come back down, because if it comes back down like it did right here, so you can see price tested it and it finally came down right here. After that happened, it came straight down and tested this zone. That's exactly what I anticipate happening over here. Once price closes below the zone, then we can take a sell and ride this down for 100 pips. So I just be patient with it, especially with the US news coming up soon, I guess. What is this? Yeah, of course, the core CPI is coming out tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. So that could affect the market, and it might affect it in a good way. So if that happens, then you can take that trade. If not, then just be patient, because last thing you want to do is enter sell right here, and then we get a buy signal, and it ends up shooting like way up here. So I'd be patient with USD CAD, but it still does have a sell bias. So I'd wait for it to close below here and then enter a sell position. If you guys are looking for the zone, so the upper zone right here is going to be 1.31622, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.3012. All right, let's move on to USD CHF. Let me just make sure the zones are not the same, because I don't think this one moves as much. Yeah, it looks like the zones are pretty much exactly the same. It's going to move this up a little higher. Perfect. So let me move this down a little lower. And then once we have that, we're just going to look at momentum. So momentum's coming down right here. Same situation with USD CAD. Basically, I would wait for price to close below this point, and then we can pretty much ride that down to this next zone. Or it might be a little too close. So maybe if it closed below this zone down here, even better confirmation, the price is going to continue down further. So we do have a sell bias, but it's stuck within the zone. I'd wait for it to close way down here. Actually, this is a little too close, because look what happened here. When price closed down, it tested this zone, but it shot right back up. So I'd wait for it to close below here to have that full confirmation. And the zones here for USD CHF are going to be 0.9102, and this lower zone over here is going to be 0.90514. All right, UJ right here, make sure that the zones are not just the same thing. Yeah, Yeah, for the most part, they look the same. Let me just adjust this one a little bit. And then down here. All right, let's hide these. All right, cool. So it looks good right there. Zoom out of here. It looks like price is coming down. Let's look at the momentum. Yeah, we did get a sell signal right here. So momentum's still coming down. However, it's stuck within these two zones right here. And there's not enough space from where it currently is. Because price might come down and test this zone. But then once it tests it, it can reject right off it. Or it can break below. If it breaks below right here, then I would take a sell and then ride that down to the next zone for about 80 pips right there. But yeah, you know, we don't have that confirmation yet. You don't want to enter right here because you don't want to get stuck in this trade. You can see the last time it tested this zone right here, it shot right back up. So I'd wait for it to close like way down here before entering this trade. This upper zone right here is going to be 105.47, and this lower zone down here is going to be 104.945. Yeah, so that looks like that's about it for the currency pairs. Next, I'm going to go up over gold for Nassim. I don't know if Nassim you're still here, but I'm going to look over it for you. Here's gold right here. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything off this chart. We'll zoom out from here and let's draw these zones. All right, cool. So let me yeah, gold's been kind of messy. It was a bit choppy this past week or so. So I'm just going to draw some bigger zones here because it's not all that necessary. Yeah, we have all those crossover zones. So we have those right there. Let's see how many pips is this. I don't think it's that much. We could probably just connect these two as well because it looks like a pretty strong zoned area. All right, cool. So we got these zones lined up right here. And you can see that price broke above this zone. It's coming back down right here. Let me check out the momentum. Momentum is currently going up actually. So you can see right here, we had the buy signal down here. What I see happening right here is price is probably going to reject off here and continue upwards. So I would wait for price to close within the zone just so it can consolidate sideways. And then let's see. And then if we had a buy, like if price was, so if price closed down here and then it closes right above it, it would, you know, qualify for a zone entry. But I mean, we have to wait and see what happens with gold, because with the US news coming up in the morning, or I don't know what time is this. Yeah, when the US news coming up, that could affect gold heavily. So, you know, if the news is bad, then, you know, gold will go up. However, if the news is good, it could probably go down. So gold is actually, it's something risky to trade right now. I personally wouldn't trade it. I don't even trade it normally because it just moves around like super weird. You can see right here that, you know, although it does respect the zones, it kind of does what it wants. It comes up, drops heavy, and it literally just does what it wants. But yeah, if you're looking at it currently right now, it does have a bullish bias, but there's like no, I'd wait for that confirmation because it's stuck within the zone right here. It's going to close within the zone in 3 hours. Then you'd have to wait for the next candle to close outside. And there just wouldn't be an entry until that point. And then at that point, there's going to be US news in the morning. So, you know, you're not going to have enough time to have enough confirmation to really ride that move, because literally this thing could come down, like, you know, break this zone and then you could write it down, or it can correct back up right here. And then you can write it up this way as well. So you'd have to, I would just give it some more time before you enter anything, because it's not really, there's no established direction, you know? because we do have a buy signal right here. Price did come up and then it came back down. However, price never got to this point up here. So the thing is, price broke this zone. It might even just reject off this point and close as a green candle and continue upwards because this full move hasn't moved yet. Like it hasn't finished. So I personally be looking at it with a bullish bias, but with news tomorrow, anything could really happen because high impact US news. And this is going to affect gold directly. So me personally, I would just hang tight if you're trading gold. But I would probably just hold off for a little bit until you have some sort of extra bias as to, which direction you want to trade or some sort of confirmation. Let's see. Business Paying said NZD CAD, we can enter, right? No, I wouldn't advise you to enter because we haven't given an entry. That entry was given last week, so I wouldn't tell you to enter like 5 days later. If I give a new entry, then yeah, you can take it. But currently right now, I don't recommend you take NZD CAD because this call was made on October 7th. So that's about a week ago. Unless you have, the indicators and you're able to apply the strategy yourself, then, if there's an entry here, then yeah, you can take it. Technically, there was an entry right here, but you're already like way too late. So this entry appeared over here. You're already like 15 pips late. So I wouldn't recommend you enter this because the spread is 7.3 pips. So you're going to be entering this trade at like a 20 pip loss. You have to have your timing on point. You can't just enter it because you're anticipating it to come down, because this doesn't guarantee it's going to come down. Technically, if you entered this trade right here, you probably would have moved your stop loss and profit already as it reached TP1 or TP2 down here. So no, I don't recommend you enter NZD CAD right now. It's just a little too late. Let's see. Angel said, can we draw the zones and trade on the lower time frame, like 15-minute? Yeah, you can draw the zones on any time frame. So this is the 4-hour, but if you want to trade on, sorry, let me fix this. But yeah, if you want to trade on the 15-minute, it works the same way. So if I turn on the zones over here, you still have zones on the 15-minute as well. It doesn't matter which time frame you trade on, but obviously the zones are going to be stronger on the higher time frames. So this is a 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour. It really depends on you. But obviously I trade on the 4 hour. So that's why I do all my zones on this chart. And they're usually the strongest zones too if you're trading intraday. If you're trading on the 15-minute, you're going to see a lot of noise. Although, the zones are good. So let me just draw them for you so you can see how good they are. There's just going to be a lot more noise. Like you're not going to get the super strong zones. And the whole thing about trading is you want to be accurate. You don't you can have as many zones as you want and you can take as many scalp trades as you want, but how accurate are they? So this is going to be the 15-minute right here. And don't get me wrong, they're going to be accurate, but they're not going to be that accurate because obviously you're going to run into a lot more noise on these shorter time frames versus trading on the 4 hour. But yeah, see, look, check it out. That's the 15-minute right there. You can see that the zones are actually, they're good zones, but like I mentioned, there's going to be a lot more noise on the lower time frame versus being on the 4 hour or some other time frame. Business Paying say, what about daily? Yeah, literally any time frame. So this is the 15-minute here. If you want to go on the daily, turn on the zones right there. If you want to look on the daily, there are the daily zones right there. If you want to look on the weekly zones are right there. Look on the monthly zones right there as well. Literally any time frame. All the K2 indicators work on every time frame. 1 minute, there's 1 minute zones right there if you want to scalp. 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, it doesn't matter, whatever time frame you want to trade on, there's zones there for you. But yeah, okay. So I think that's it for those pairs. Let's go over to I looked at gold. All right, I have two more pairs to look over: US 30 and SPX. So I'll look at SPX first. For the SPX, since the indices move super fast, I'm going to draw these zones on a shorter time frame. I'll draw them on the 1 hour instead of the 4 hour, just so that you guys can have a better understanding on the shorter movements than you do on the lower ones. I mean on the higher ones, because I don't think anyone's really trading um, indices on the higher time frames. Unless you have a huge account, it's just not feasible. Okay, so like right here, it looks like price is way past the previous zone on the 1 hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the shorter time frame to mark up those zones down there. So here's the 15-minute. See, in some situations like this, like for indices, if price is shot so much over one day, like on the 4 hour right here, see, price created the last zone over here, but this zone hasn't been tested since September and like way over here. So that's why these zones haven't been created. So if you can't find a zone on the higher time frame, like the 8 hour, this is like super far off because this is a huge move from like before. But here's the daily. There's like nothing there. So if you can't find the zones on the higher time frames, you can always go on the lower time frames. So here are the zones on the S&P from the 15-minute. And it looks like, so we do have that upper zone and we do have the lower zone down here. So if I look at it from here, it looks like price came up, retested, and then it just came right back down. So what could happen here? Let me look at the momentum indicator. We have a sell momentum right here, and price broke and closed below the zone. So what could happen here is price might come down even further and might retest the zone or come like somewhere halfway before it continues back upwards. But like I mentioned, there's US news tomorrow, so that's going to affect the market directly, especially these specific indices, the S&P and US 30, since they're US assets. But yeah, these are the two zones right here. And you can see that, price has respected these zones in the past. However, price shot up way too much today. Like you can see, it went from, okay, so on Sunday, price broke the zone. And then this morning, price just pretty much rallied way up here. So whenever this happens, there's usually going to be some sort of correction where it's going to come down a little bit, maybe to this point, maybe to this point, maybe even to the lower zone before it corrects back upwards. So me personally, I wouldn't trade this right now, unless you really know what you're doing, which a lot of people don't really know what they're doing when you're trading indices, because you have to really understand the fundamentals of things. So, I mean, depending on your analysis on whoever is looking to trade this, me personally, I'm not going to trade it because I just trade the daily entry. I don't like to trade when there's all this noise going on in the market. I just want to trade when I know what's exactly going on. So currently, I personally wouldn't take this trade, but if you are looking at it, it does have a sell bias right here. And let me look on the higher time frames, like the 1 hour. Right here, we don't even have a sell signal. Right here, we had that buy signal and then it shot up and then it came back down. So the thing is, if we get a sell signal right here, then it might pull back a little bit before it continues upwards. But overall, indices usually are bullish. So unless something happens in the market, like with a stimulus plan or anything like that, it's probably going to continue up. But I wouldn't just enter just because. Like, make sure that it like something like satisfies your requirements for your entry before you enter this trade, because right now it's really iffy. It could either go sideways, it can go down, or it can shoot back up. It just really depends. Let's see. MDB said, "Hey Shawn, so we can scalp with the K2SR indicator?" Yeah, you can scalp with pretty much anything. Like you can scalp with the momentum indicator, you can scalp with the K2SR indicator. It just depends on what strategy you're applying. I think most people use the K2 pivots indicator. So if you wanted to scalp this, you would use the pivots. And you can see as prices above these pivots right here, you just take every single buy. So price is above it, price pulls back, buy signal, It's a straight win right there. Again, right here, price pulls back, buy signal. You take another buy right there, straight win. This is how most people trade indices with the K2 indicators. We use the pivot strategy. Price comes up, retraces, buy signal, another win. Like literally, if this is the only strategy you applied today, you would have had straight wins, which is what a lot of people applied today. So you can see how easy that is right there. And this would be the K2 pivot strategy. So there's S&P. I'm gonna go over the last one right now, US 30. And then after that, we'll call it a night. And then we can pick back up on this tomorrow when I go over the next live session. Looks like we've been on this for nearly 3 hours already. So I need to take a break after this. But let me just draw up US 30 real quick for you guys. So let me turn on the SRs. All right, cool. Let's go from the 4 hour first. So there's a zone right here. And then we can go down to the lower time frames. Nothing on the 2 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute. See, this is the same situation that happened with S&P. If price gets to a point where it's too high, where it hasn't tested in a long time, then price is going to be like way up here and there's not going to be any zone. So if that happens, you just go in the lower time frames and identify these. All right, so our JPY hit TP1, guys. Congrats. Oh, there we go. Our GA hit full TP, 90 pips, guys. So everyone here is making money, guys. I mean, if you didn't take any of the trades I gave you guys today, I don't know what to tell you guys, because I literally gave you guys those trades live so you guys can copy them. But yeah, we're hitting TPs right here. But yeah, back to US 30 before I give these updates. Same situation that I was talking about in the past, generally, if price reaches an area where it hasn't tested, it's gonna be hard to find zones. So you're just gonna have to play around with the other time frames to find the other zones. If you don't find one on like the higher ones, like the 4 hour, there's nothing up here, right? There's just one right there, but there's no other one that's above it. Same with the 2 hour, nothing there. 1 hour, nothing there. 30 minute, nothing there. If that happens, just keep going lower. 15 minute, there's something there, right? Okay, so that's where the zones are. So I'll turn this on right here. And there goes those zones. So same situation that I was talking about with S&P, price is currently in this area right here, but it can literally go either way. Like price is coming down right here. If I turn on the momentum indicator, we did have a buy signal right here, but price is coming down pretty heavy. So if it closes below the zone right here with a sell signal, then it's probably going to continue down further. But depending on how US 30 reacts to the news, then it can either shoot upwards or it can continue down. It just really depends on how everything reacts to it. But currently price is just so overextended. Like look at US 30, it's been pushed up just from this morning. It's pushed up about 3,000 pips, 3,000, 4,000 pips. So when it pushes up that high, it has to come back down to some extent. So it's highly manipulated right now, because the thing is you can enter a buy and it can drop far enough to stop you out before it shoots right back up, right? And that's a risk that I wouldn't take personally, because obviously I want to be in the direction of where price is currently moving with momentum. So and the last thing you want to do is enter a sell because you think it needs to correct a little further, and right when you enter that sell, it spikes right up. So the thing is, it's a gamble to trade US 30 right now unless you have enough capital to handle the margin, or if you have a good edge in the market, which right now I think it's literally speculation at this point, because we can even look at the IG sentiment, and then we'll just see where most traders are. So IG sentiment, US 30. So looking at the Dow Jones right here, 75% of people are short. This is exactly what I was just saying. A lot of people are anticipating a correction downwards, right? So the problem with that is you don't want to be this in the same area where everyone else is trading. So there's so many people here with sells, right? You know what the market maker is going to do? They're going to push price down a little bit to give you guys some confidence. And when you least expect it, they're going to spike it all the way up. So that's why I'm probably not going to trade US 30 until things have pretty much stabilized and, you know, a direction has been established. Because currently right now, everyone is speculating. Everyone's selling, you know, 75% of people are short the DJ. That doesn't mean that price is going to keep coming down. You know, 70% of people fail at trading. So, you know, you never know if you're going to be on the good side or the bad side. And that's why I wouldn't trade it right now, because it's just too risky. And it's not worth the risk, especially for like, you know, a little scalp right here. Let's see. So we got, so that's it for all the questions. But let me go through the rest of the questions in the chat real quick. Business Paying said, K2 alert. Can you explain? K2 alert. I mean, it just depends on what you're referring to. Business Paying. I don't know what to call you because that's what your name says. But a K2 alert could be a K2 signal. It could be a break after, you know, one of these zones. You can set any type of alert here. You hit alert condition. You can set it to any K2 indicator. So I'm not sure what you're referring to, but there's a ton of different ways to set, you know, a K2 alert. If you're talking about a K2 signal, this would be a K2 signal, but a K2 alert, you can set that to whatever you want. I mean, if you could be a little more detailed with your question, I can probably answer that better. But I mean, K2 alert can literally be anything. So depending on what you're setting it, because I set my K2 alerts to when I hit TP. So if you're looking at, you know, these are all my alerts right here, right? I have alerts for when I hit profit target, stop loss, which we rarely hit, but I have an alert for like different things. Like right here is a K2 alert for full TP plus 90 pips, you know, TP1 plus 11 pips, or US 30 alert. So it just depends on what you're setting it for, but you can literally set a K2 alert for anything. It just really depends on what you're looking for. Let's see. Angel said, what website was that to see who's buying? Angel, so you just go to Google and you search in IG sentiment. You could type this in right here, IG sentiment, and then you could type in whatever asset you're looking at, US 30, your USD, GBP USD, it doesn't really matter. So like right here, if you want to look at S&P 500, type that in, and then you can see right here, 61% of people are short. So you can see that there's a huge speculation here, because for US 30, there was 75% of people short. For S&P, there's only 61%. So the thing is, you don't want to be where everyone else is trading, because you're going to get screwed, because most people don't, you know, they don't do well at trading. So you don't want to follow everyone else. You kind of want to do what you do, but you also don't want to be off on the other edge. So like right here, check this out. There was like 75% of people that were short, right? Look what's happening. Price is shooting right back up. Everyone there is going to get stopped out. So, you know, the key is not to fall for these games that the market makers and institutions create. The key here is to, you know, win at their game. So I'd be careful if you guys are trading US 30, because I can honestly see price spiking up or spiking down and going back and forth, because the institutions and market makers know that most people don't have big accounts trading, you know, indices. If you don't have enough money, you're going to get margin called out every single time. So be very careful if you're trading US 30, because if your account isn't big enough, you're probably going to get margin called out. Okay, let's see. MDB said on the 1 hour CAD CHF, let me pull that up. Is it a valid signal with a K2SR? CAD CHF. 1 hour. I don't see anything here. MDB said there's a break and a signal. So I'm on the 1 hour right now for CAD CHF, and the signal was way over here. So we do have a sell bias, but it's within the zone right now. So it hasn't, you know, if it breaks below the zone, then yeah, there would be an entry. However, it hasn't broken below the zone yet, so there's no entry. If this closes way down here, then yeah, that'd be an entry. Like right here, see, we got a sell signal, and then it closed within the zone, then it would be a sell entry, and we'd ride that to the next zone right here, which is exactly what happened. Price came to the zone, rejected right back up. Same situation right here. We got a sell signal, price closed below the zone right here. we would erode that to the next zone. And then, you know, same thing right here as well. We'd have to wait for this to close below the zone here. And then when it does, then we can ride that to the next zone down here. But currently there's no, I don't see an entry. So I'm not sure if we're looking at two different things or a different pair, but yeah, yours does say CAD CHF. I don't see anything here right now. It might be the next hour or so. We have 6 minutes left in this candle. Maybe if it doesn't close below there at that point, it might close a little later. So I'd be patient with it and, you know, just wait for it to close. But okay, guys, so I think that's it. It looks like that was it for all the questions. I don't see anything else here. We've been on this call for maybe like 3 hours now, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to grab some dinner. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out on Telegram and I can respond to you guys there. Otherwise, you know, we can set up a mentoring session if you guys have access to the K2 indicators. And if you guys want to look at my previous mentoring sessions, you can go ahead and look on our YouTube as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out and then I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And then I'll send this replay in a few minutes so you guys can go ahead and review, you know, any pairs that we analyzed. But yeah, guys, thanks for showing up.